Hello and welcome. I am Mikayla SilverThorn, and today I'm going to be making a more upbeat video. A lot of the content on my channel is very heavy, and I want to put something lighter on here. A big part of what I'm trying to do is get people to stop being so hard on themselves, to stop hurting themselves, right? And so we gotta bring joy into our lives. And for those of you who have not watched other videos of mine and you are unaware, I am somebody who was born female. I transitioned and lived as a trans man for 4 years of my life, and then I regretted doing that and decided to no longer try to live as a trans man. And now here I am. So, this video is going to be about my funny transgender stories. So my real experiences. Let's start this off by talking about the time that I was at the airport, right? And at this time in my life, I had been taking testosterone, dressing like a man, and to be frank, I looked like a 12-year-old boy. Really, I was 18. But I had a baby face and I'm 5 feet tall, so, I look like a child. And I had not had surgery on my chest at that time, so I was wearing a binder, which for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically just this strip of fabric stuff that you wrap around your chest to flatten your boobs. And so I was doing that, right? And I'm going to see my grandma for the first time. Other than when I was so young, I don't remember. It was the first time I was really, truly meeting her. And, I really wanted to go on this trip. But I'm not gonna lie, I was really nervous about that binder, going to the airport with it. And sure enough, I had good reason to be, because the person who was doing the body scan thing that you walk through pulls me aside and asks me, he's like, "What are you wearing under your shirt?" I'm over here like, oh gosh, no, oh gosh, he's gonna ask me about that. And he told me like that I was gonna need a body pat down, right? And I'm over here like, no, I'm a virgin. I don't want the first time someone to touch me to be like this. Anyways, so I'm standing there like, no, the worst has happened. I'd been freaking out about this, and I told my mom, and she was like, it'll be fine. She was wrong. But thankfully, I think it was a woman actually, comes over and was like, you can't do that. Like, don't you know what it is? And she has to explain to the guy that it's a chest binder and that I was a trans man. And so thankfully I did not have to get patted down that day. But it was quite awkward. Alright, now on to story number 2. So I had this coworker at work, and he was an 18-year-old high school kid. I think I was like 19, 20 at the time. And I remember one time he makes some joke about, and he says Peggy. I'm like, Peggy? Who the fuck is Peggy? And he was trying to make a joke about pegging, but he said Peggy to be short. I'm not sure why it was supposed to be funny. But anyways, I say it really loud in the restaurant, and he's like, shh. But the thing is, we were working at a family-run Thai restaurant. I'm like, does my boss really know what pegging is? And even I didn't understand what he meant by Peggy. Peggy's a name. Like, I don't know who would get that, frankly. I don't know, maybe you can leave me a comment if you understand that, but I don't. So maybe explain it to me if there was something to understand there. And that's not the funniest part, right? So yeah, I I was openly just talking about this, like, I don't care. And he's like trying to be all hush about it. The funny thing was my boss's nephew was there, and he did understand what was going on. And he was mad. I could see him fuming over there in the distance, not saying anything, but just filling with rage because he knew that I was a female, right? And he didn't like the idea of guys talking about like sexual stuff with me as if I were a male. So that was an awkward experience. And I didn't really know what to take out of that. But let's get on to the next one. So, for prom, I was in the phase of my life where I tried to convince myself I was interested in women, which, needless to say, didn't go very well, and was a fruitless labor. Anyways, I asked my girlfriend at the time to go to the school dance with me, and so she told me she's gonna wear a yellow dress. It's like, oh, well, then I went and got like a rental suit thing, and I had to get a yellow tie to match her dress, obviously, because that's just who I am. And first of all, I want to say men's dress pants are so uncomfortable. They are so uncomfortable. I know I don't have the butt of a man, but still. Like, there's no way that can be comfortable even for men. I get that I have more hips than a man does, but still. It squeezed everything. It's just like, I have to wear this all night. Anyways, when I was there, the the guy who was like, the worker who would get your size fitted and everything and find the right suit for you, he was like, don't worry, bro, I got you. I got you. He's like giving me fist bumps a lot, calling me bro all the time. And I was like, I don't know this guy. Why is he like treating me so friendly? And it was the first time I understood the bro culture. Like, just for being a dude, other dudes will come up and be like, I got you, bro. Bro, I got you. And they'll just give you all these fist bumps and like compliment you. And I was like, I have never been treated like this in my life. So that was my first experience of learning about bro. A first-hand experience. Now, my next story I would like to bring up is when I had to tell my boss the reason why I needed to have time off of work. She was obsessed with knowing things. Asian mom, You can't get anything past her. And like, she doesn't even have to know exactly why I'm having surgery, but she can't let it go. She's like, why are you having surgery? And eventually, I end up just telling her one day when it's just me and her alone in the restaurant. I was like, I'm having surgery on my chest because I am removing my breast tissue. And eventually, after the conversation got thorough enough, my boss ends up going, "You're a girl?" Like, to my face. And I was in so much shock. I was like, oh gosh, how do I explain this to her? Like, her first language is in English, and I don't know how to explain to her. I don't even know how to explain to my parents that speak fluent English what being transgender is. Oh gosh. And so I was like, kind of, sort of. I I was born in a female body, yes. Yes. Then I think I tried to tell her that like I'm a man on the inside or something like that. Anyways, she was just in so much shock and probably really upset in because she was trying to hook me up with her nephew. And that was a whole event. Was hook me up with her gay nephew. that that's gonna have to be another story on my other YouTube channel someday. Okay, so let's go on to at a different job. I was working at a factory, and I had this coworker who was a total guy, total just young dude, right? In every possible way. Smoking weed in his free time, acting like a complete fucking idiot. And in the best ways possible. Like when I say he was acting like an idiot, I mean he was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. He had this ongoing joke about everything being organic. And I don't even know why it was funny, but it was. Like, I totally understand the bro humor part of, like, guys, right? And it was nice to be treated as a guy in those events because I like making sex jokes. I like talking about, like, stuff that you normally don't talk about with girls, right? It was nice for him to talk about how much he wanted to, plow his girlfriend or his side woman. And I'm over here like, yeah, I don't really support having a side woman, but you do you, I guess. That's gonna come back to bite you in the butt someday. So I could give him like girl advice, right? But I could do it in the bro tone, from the bro perspective, right? And at the time, he knew I had a boyfriend. Okay, so he just thought I was a gay man. And I think I had even made it clear to him that I was the bottom, too. And he's over here talking to me about plowing his girlfriend and about how much he wants to just her. Like, oh gosh, this is awkward. One of those instances where it's like, it's a good thing I was not attracted to him. But it was still a little bit awkward, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, so going back to my other job, where I was working at the Thai restaurant, I was working with this dude who's like 10 years older than me. And first of all, I want to say he was a fantastic server, right? Absolutely phenomenal at his job. He may have stolen pretty much every pen we ever had for no reason. He just had like a issue with doing that. Just stealing little things here and there. But he was a great coworker, and he was even my weed dealer when I was underage. He would buy me weed, and we had a good thing going. We would talk about psychedelics with each other, all kinds of stuff. But one day, he he comes up behind me, and he's my older coworker. He's got like that older brother vibe, and he's congratulating me on something. And he just goes to pat me on the back to be like, "Good job," When he did that, we both froze and we're just like, "Oh." Like I could feel his energy just go, "Shit." And the reason why is because I hadn't had surgery at that time and I was still wearing the binder. And so when he pats me on the back, I'm wearing my baggy work t-shirt. Because I'm 5 feet tall. Everything is baggy on me. Okay? And he pats me on the back and goes, "Oh, sorry. At the time, I actually wanted to laugh. I was like, well, crap, now somebody at work knows that I am I was born female, and that's awkward. But at the same time, his reaction was so funny I wanted to laugh. And so it actually wasn't a bad moment. Okay, I think I've got everything else said. Now, I left the funniest one for the end. For those of you who managed to get through all the way to the end of this video, this is your treat. So, I was going to the doctor's for lady problems. Down there, right? I was having an issue. I had gotten an IUD and something just wasn't right. I just could not wait for my doctor. I had that intuitive knowing that something is off. I need to do something about this. Something just isn't right, and I need to see someone now. And my doctor was super booked up. I think this was around COVID time or something. And so I was like, fine, I'll just come in during the, I don't even know exactly what it was, but they had like a thing where you can just see like a generic doctor after hours, after like normal business hours. And you don't get to choose who your doctor is or who you see. It's just like some random person. I'm blanking on what that is. But anyways, so I go in and I do that, and I'm seeing some random doctor. And it turns out to be an old man. I'm like, great. Wonderful. My favorite. Having an old man doctor. So he comes in, everything's fine, it's whatever. I'm talking about stuff with him, I'm explaining things. And then out of nowhere, he asks me to drop my pants. And I look at him like, what? And I'm sure he's used to this like kind of expression before, right? The problem is that I'm not giving him that look for the same reason everyone else did. And so he's like, I don't know how else to tell you this, but I gotta check your testicles. And I am frozen in shock. I don't even know what to say to that. I'm just like, uh, I, uh, uh, eventually, I end up just telling him, like, I can't do that. Like, I don't have those. And eventually, he figures it out, and he's like, oh, I am so sorry. I really should have looked at your thing better. Oops. Well, your transition is really good. Just want to tell you that you are transitioning so well. He just tries to compliment me after asking me to drop my pants for it. Oh my gosh. And I look back at that story and I'm just like, I'm gonna have to tell my kids this someday. My kids will be like teenagers and I'll just be like, how can I embarrass my kids right now? Like, I'll tell them the time my doctor told me to drop my pants so that he could check my balls. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed these stories, and if you have your own like funny transgender stories that you want to talk about, please leave it in the comments. I would love to read your transgender stories and what you have experienced with people not understanding what's going on with you, right? Like maybe not understanding that you don't have testicles. Okay. Well, thank you for watching this video, and please stay tuned to the next one.